I quit my job, slowly plus one, where ordinary stories become extraordinary inspiration.
Welcome to another episode of I Quit My Job. And tonight's episode, I have Ian Webster,
Boom.
otherwise known as the financial guru or the financial fighter. I'm slowly plus one.
Yeah, I'm the financial fighter. Basically, what I do is help people to eliminate credit cards, loans, lines of credit, that stressful debt, reduce annoying taxes, keep more money in their pocket. When the banks say no to mortgages, we say yes. That's me in a nutshell without getting too deep.
Knowing the theme of this podcast, I Quit My Job, or
Yes,
I Quit
sir.
My Job moment that you may
Yes,
have.
sir.
What was it like for you to say, hey, I quit my job, and what was that moment like?
I had been working with the banks, for one of the banks, for just under 10 years. And they were grooming me to become a branch manager. They were giving me a branch. And I just remember during that time I was putting in extra hours. I was going to night school. I'm your guy. You haven't made a mistake here. I remember at that time, I had just gotten a mortgage. It may have been like 2 years. My son may have been, a year to 2 years. My wife was pregnant at the time. And I remember them coming to me and them telling me, the branch that we were going to give you, we're giving it to someone else. And that person that we're giving it to, that person is 19 years old, has no experience, has no education that you have, and we're giving it to them because they're the cousin to the manager in our area.
Wow.
Yeah, that is wow. That broke my spirit. I'm just like, how do you fight against that? And I remember them bringing me into a room, breaking the news to me. And I could just think in the room, man, this doesn't feel right. This is just not right. You know what I mean? I want them to feel crummy the way I feel crummy right now. And I just remember in my head thinking, I need to speak to a lawyer. I need to speak to a lawyer. It just didn't feel right. Moving along, I spoke to several lawyers. One lawyer took up the case, and he was a dog. You know what I mean? And I remember we went to mediation for this.
Right.
And, we always call it, they dangled a carrot.
Dangled that carrot.
They dangled that carrot, and I jumped at that carrot.
Jumped at it.
And, they were going to give me back my job.
Right.
But I just thought, you know what? I never want to be put in a position where I feel like that again. I never want to be put in a position where, you can have no experience, no education, and be the, relative to someone, and, you're taking jobs from people, right? We went to mediation. I won. The money gave me the courage to say, I'm not going back. Right. It'll cover me. It'll cover, when I say me, our household expenses.
Right, of course.
For the next 2 to 3 months. But it also gave me the courage to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this out on my own. I'm going to go out on my own. I'm going to be a financial advisor on my own. I can do this.
So now you've quit. What was that first day like, or that moment like when you realized, hey, I'm not going back to work. What am I doing next?
So I'm a planner, and I'm planning to see how long this money is going to last. And, it was 2 to 3 months. So I'm fretting. After 2-3 months, there's no biweekly pay coming in, right? So, that was very frightening. Having to get used to not, that guaranteed pay was very hard. And now have to, have your mind be okay with that. Yeah, that was tough. One of the inspirations was Michael Lee Chin, right? Michael Lee Chin at the time, when I was a financial advisor, was a successful financial advisor. And one of the things that I admired about him was, at that time, we were living in a place where an accent was a negative.
Right, so he had a heavy Jamaican accent.
Heavy Jamaican accent, right? But he was balling.
Of course.
He was doing well. That accent did not limit him. So that was the first thing in my mind.
Right.
The second thing is I actually got an opportunity to speak with him. And I was sitting down talking with him, telling him my business plan that, I want to go out there and offer financial services to the black community. I want to show them how they can build wealth and create wealth. And I just remember him looking at me. He's like, "No butter with that. You're going to be poor." And I was just like, wow. What are you talking about right
Straight
now?
Roddy.
Like, what are you talking about right now? You
Right.
like in my mind,
Right.
he was just like like a waste man. You know what I mean? Like you're not even making any sense right now to me.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, I've been in this business now for like the 20, 21 years, and I'm a little bit more seasoned, and I totally get what he was saying. Right? You know, in terms of, you know, at that time, you know, when you look 20, 25 years ago, you know, our black community is much smaller. We don't have the same economics that we have today,
Right.
financially.
Right.
And it was just like a small community versus going out to the vast community of Canada and showing them good points to wealth creation and financial, you know, literacy and planning.
Wow. So that was a turning point when he said, "Hey, man, cut that dream."
It's hard for me to grasp that.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right, right.
And it took many years for me to grasp that, right?
Okay. Okay.
But it
okay.
was actually very good advice.
So, you know, your story is very inspirational. I gotta
Yeah.
tell you that. Like, even just having that wherewithal to like say, "Hey, yo, this doesn't feel right. Let me get a lawyer." I can just kind of recount a couple times where, you know, I've been put in situations and I'm like, "Yo, I just walked away like nothing happened." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I commend you on that. That's pretty.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you, my
that's
brother.
pretty strong to do that in a room where everybody's telling you ain't good enough right now.
Right,
To have that. And you're like,
right.
what you mean I ain't good enough? You talking to me? What other inspirational note that you can leave?
Couple things, you know. One, I think that you know, we always say Peter to pay Paul. Well, you know, in my early years, you know, Peter had to pay Paul. But, you know, I would tell people, you know, don't worry about that because
Right.
that takes a lot of strategic planning. You got to know when to do that, where to do that, how to do that. And, you know, it allows you to tread water for a little while, right? And not drown.
Right.
The second thing I would say is that at some point in time, you may have derogatory credit. You may have shitty credit.
Right.
Right? But it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. Like, you can still get a car, you can still get a house.
Those watching, those listening, you hear some gems from the financial fighter. It's not the end of the world. And like I say, the story always gets better. But E, I really appreciate you showing up, bro.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Peace.
Peace.